Welcome to my podcast. I'm Reagan Beshara, founder of All Ease Accounting, a bookkeeping and payroll services firm based in the United States. I have almost a decade of small business accounting expertise to share with my clients and the business community at large. I want to help you define your beliefs and values, create better procedures in line with those values, and realize your financial agency and independence as a small business owner. Whether you've got a side hustle or a fully fledged business with a team of employees, we all share the same struggles against our limiting beliefs. Let's overcome those together by imagining new ways of doing business. Just a quick note before we start the episode. It is raining where I'm at today, and I realized when I was editing that you can hear the water outside. And it's kind of giving like an ASMR or a white noise effect that I'm not able to remove, but I'm not going to re-record the episode. And so just know that if that is distracting, I do apologize in advance for that. But maybe you'll find that you like it. Either way, I hope you enjoy listening to today's episode. And in the future, I'm going to find a way to record somewhere where there's not so much background noise. Thanks for listening. Good morning, afternoon, evening, night, whatever time you're listening to this. I'm Reagan Beshara. I'm the founder of All Ease Accounting and your podcast host on Money Through Ease. And today I'm going to share with you my tips on how to choose a bookkeeper for your business. These are the 4 C's, so that's C as in Charlie, to consider when you're interviewing a prospective bookkeeper. To be clear, this is the list that I've compiled for you to go over when you are hiring a third-party independent contractor. This is not a list to use when you want to hire a staff bookkeeper who only works in your business full-time. That is a completely different set of criteria. This list is for small business owners like yourself to use when you want to outsource your financial reporting and bookkeeping tasks. That could be anything from just doing monthly bank reconciliation to running payroll and to handling your accounts receivable and paying bills. There is a huge range of services that bookkeepers provide, and as we'll discuss later, there are so many people out there providing these services, which means that you can definitely find someone who works within your budget, meets your needs, and most importantly, who you like and get along with. Life is too short to be arguing with anybody, right? So without delaying anymore, here's the 4 C's you must consider when you want to hire a bookkeeper. So the first one is cost. A bookkeeper needs to be within your budget, right? Even if you don't have a budget, you know how much revenue you're bringing in. And if you don't know how much revenue you're bringing in, then you really need to hire a bookkeeper regardless. Your bookkeeping or accounting fees during the year should amount to about 1 to 2% of your gross revenue. So that's kind of like an industry average. But if you're making less than $100,000 in annual gross revenue, which is how much money you're taking in every year, that comes out to between $50 and $150 a month to spend on bookkeeping services. So there may be bookkeepers out there that are in this price range, but their services will probably be limited to just reconciliation. And they won't be providing you the most value in terms of consulting, advisory, and compliance. So we've talked before about how your bookkeeping is important for your business because that is the information that gets used to file your tax returns, in which case a bookkeeper needs to help you stay compliant with your taxes. One of the things that I ask when people say that they can't afford bookkeeping is, how do you know? How do you know that you can't afford bookkeeping? This is not meant to sound condescending, even though it may come across that way. If I'm not doing your books, how would I know better than you what you can afford? You're the one working in the business every day. You know what your bank account says every day. How would I know better than you what you can afford? To put it simply, if you're not doing your own bookkeeping on a monthly basis, or if you don't already have an accounting system to categorize your business income and revenue, what data are you using to base your assumption on that you can't afford it? If you don't have accurate reports, like an up-to-date profit and loss statement, and you're just looking at your bank account balance today, How are you determining that a bookkeeper is too expensive? When you're deciding on whether to hire a bookkeeper or not, they should be able to provide you a price sheet or a list of services that they perform for your business, along with the prices of those services. They should be able to give that to you so that you can read it on your own time and figure out what you need them to do. This is how I used to have it set up in my business, and this is how a lot of bookkeepers and accountants determine their pricing model. But I've actually moved to a value-based flat fee system. I charge one price for monthly bookkeeping and one price for added payroll services if a client needs payroll too. But I can still give you a detailed explanation of all the services I provide throughout the year. And I can tell you what value those services give to your business. So if you're having trouble with cash flow, getting your clients to pay on time, I work in the accounts receivable work to my services with you, helping you get paid faster and more regularly, creating a more consistent cash flow that you can actually rely on to do financial planning. So if you need help paying bills on time, I can assist with that workflow as well. We make sure that we track your bills accurately and that you help avoid missing or late payments to your vendors. Paying someone to do the bookkeeping for your business is always going to be a great expense for your business. And I mean great as in like a good thing. Because you have a third party, someone with expertise who's looking over your accounting regularly and making sure you get to claim as many proper business deductions on your taxes as the law allows. And another way to think about it is the more you pay a bookkeeper, the bigger that tax deduction that you get to take on your taxes, because accounting and bookkeeping fees are a qualified business tax deduction. The second C to consider when you want to hire a bookkeeper is competence. So just because someone has been doing something for a long time doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best fit for your business or that they're even practicing bookkeeping well. You can actually Google bookkeepers arrested for fraud and embezzlement, and it's often the same demographic of people who have been a bookkeeper either internally working for a business or publicly working for many businesses for years. There are national professional organizations that bookkeepers can pay to be a part of. They may have requirements for membership that relate to education and or credentials. You can certainly look those up and find a directory of qualified bookkeepers to interview. Also, just because someone is a QuickBooks Pro Advisor doesn't make them a good bookkeeper. The Pro Advisor training and certification through Intuit, especially for QuickBooks Online, is free and anyone can take it. It's also an open book exam, and it's based on Intuit's specific product features, and it's not necessarily a training on how to do proper bookkeeping. What I think you should ask a potential bookkeeper when you're interviewing them is whether they have education or experience in industry or public accounting. So there's two different types of accounting. Industry accounting means that they've worked for one or multiple businesses, but all in the same industry. For instance, manufacturing or retail. Whereas public accounting is working on the books for businesses across many industries. So that's what a CPA is. They're a certified public accountant. I am not a CPA. You do not necessarily need a CPA to do your bookkeeping or your tax return. In fact, anyone can be a tax preparer and have a preparer's tax ID number with the IRS. Since there's not really a governing body for bookkeepers, it's very important to ask questions of your bookkeeper and determine their level of experience or expertise. My personal recommendation is that you work with someone who has experience in public accounting, who has provided payroll services in addition to bookkeeping for many types of businesses. So that is the type of business like you're either a sole proprietor, single member LLC, a partnership, an S-corp, a corporation. Find somebody who has done public accounting for many different types of businesses as well across industry. You can ask the range of business sizes that they've worked with. For instance, you can ask, what is the largest number of employees that you've processed a single payroll run for? Or, what are all of the industries or business types that you've done bookkeeping for? So as an example, if someone asked me this, I would tell them that I've worked with both product and service-based businesses. I have done bookkeeping for retail businesses such as stores, restaurants, and online stores, as well as businesses that are a hybrid of those, which means that they have maybe a physical storefront as well as online sales. Service-based businesses can cover many categories and industries. So you've got the healthcare field, the legal industry, which both of these require a certain level of discretion and protection of client information. And then there's professional services like accountants, financial advisors, consultants, hair and nail salons, housekeepers. You have real estate professionals, so the realtor that buys or sells your house, who differ from brokers, who differ from rental property managers. Even though all of them are under the real estate umbrella, each business or person is going to have a unique set of books because the work they do varies so much. So while the rules about accounting are consistent across these industries, it's good to have someone who has actually worked in many different industries. And so that all falls under competence. The third C is challenge. One other thing to consider when choosing a bookkeeper is the unique challenges that your business financials are going to create. What do I mean by this? So in short, let's consider how many different revenue streams that your business has. As an example, let's say that you're an artist and you have hosted art classes for the public, you have sold paintings in a storefront and online, you have provided curation services for private homeowners to develop an art collection for them and also place art in their home, and you have created an online painting course with different membership levels that the public can access at will. First of all, this person sounds like a very busy artist, and good for them. Second, this has created so many different revenue streams, and their financial reports must reflect that. They have educational services in the form of classes and online courses. They have curation services, and then they sell their paintings both in person and online. If I were their bookkeeper, I want their profit and loss report to reflect all of these different revenue streams. Why? Because when they look at their reports, I want them to, 1, understand what the reports say, and 2, interpret and analyze how these different revenues support their business. So using that as an example, you not only need an accountant who has experience in both retail and service businesses, but they would need to develop a system of reporting those different revenue streams for you. So this is going to take expertise and experience, but it may actually end up costing more just due to the amount of information that has to be sorted and classified on a monthly basis. So when you're hiring a bookkeeper, you need to consider the uniqueness of your business and what kind of challenge that's going to present to an accountant to get the information to report in the way that you want it to. Finally, the last, fourth C is actually two different C's, but they kind of go together, and that's culture or communication. So just because someone is an amazing bookkeeper and they're within your price range and they can be super helpful in getting you organized and meeting the challenges of your unique accounting situation, it may not actually mean that they're a good fit for you personally. And yes, it is totally okay to not, quote, vibe with someone and therefore not hire them. There's so many qualified people out there. Why would you not want someone who you could get along with and share similar life experiences with, beliefs, and humor? Communication is also really important. Ask yourself how much you need this person to be available to you. Do you want to have monthly meetings with them to review your reports? That may not be something they're willing to provide, or if they do, it may cost you more. Do you never need to hear from them or ask them questions? And that's perfectly fine too. Maybe they just send you your reports once a year so that you can do your taxes. Knowing ahead of time what kind of contact you want to have with this bookkeeper is important and should be talked about during your consult with them. Let them know if you prefer to text, talk on the phone, or if you prefer to do everything strictly over email. I personally prefer everything to be in writing and specifically email because I save everything. If I run payroll, I attach all communications related to that payroll run to those reports. If a client has a request or needs something to be changed, I tell them to send me an email about it to make sure it gets done, and also so that I have that backup in case there are questions down the line. I am the queen of documentation, and I'm a high-level, clear communicator. I think these are good qualities to have when I'm serving my clients, but maybe you disagree, and that's perfectly fine. You get to decide what works best for you personally and for your business. And like I said, there are so many bookkeepers available that you can for sure find someone to meet your criteria and deliver you awesome service that is valuable and useful for your business. Maybe it's very important to you that your bookkeeper be a person of color, disabled, queer, or have another marginalized identity. As we've talked about before in our business values episodes, if your values are aligned with your political identity, it may really be worth your while to ask that bookkeeper specific questions regarding those topics that matter most to you. Whether or not they choose to answer your questions is up to them, but then you will know whether they're a good fit. So those are the 4 C's to keep in mind when hiring a bookkeeper. Number 1, we have cost. What's going to fit in your budget? What can you actually afford? And how do you know that you can afford that? Number 2 is competence. Are they experienced? How long have they been doing that? And length of time doing something doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a good fit. Third is challenge. What about your unique business accounting situation is going to present a challenge to the bookkeeper? And are they qualified to meet that challenge? And then the 4th one is culture or communication. So how much do you want to be communicating with your bookkeeper on a regular basis or not at all? And whether or not their culture aligns with your business culture and with your business values. I hope this helps you narrow down someone who is going to be a good fit for your business. And I hope that I've given my own examples for how I meet each one of these categories. There are many levels of service that I provide, but I've streamlined it and made it accessible to all of my clients. I pride myself on being a good communicator and being a value-based business. If you'd like to work with me, I am accepting new clients and I would love to meet you. My calendar is available for you to schedule a free consult at alleaseaccounting.as.me/consult. If you like today's episode, please leave me a review. Make sure that you're following me on social media at alleaseaccounting on Instagram and alleaseaccounting on Facebook. So that's facebook.com/accountingwithEase. And you can also subscribe to my email list for further tips, information, and free tools. So head to alleaseaccounting.com/subscribe to get on there. I'll talk to you soon. If you are enjoying what you're learning on this podcast, please consider supporting me through a subscription on Anchor.fm. Any donation amount is welcome, or you can simply share it with someone you know. You can also follow me on Instagram at alleaseaccounting and sign up for my email list at alleaseaccounting.com/subscribe. Thanks for listening.